make more sense or better connection.
Man, there's some long girls. Goddamn shit.
This is so cool.
You suck my whore ass dick. Suck my whore ass dick. Suck my whore ass dick. You suck my whore ass dick. Oh, wow, she's got some spit on. Does she have a spit effect on? Does she have a spit effect on?
What you're deconstructing, that you're trying to understand
I like this song. You suck my poor ass dick. With this spin. Girl, hold on. With this spin.
This isn't something extreme. This is someone considered to be friends, someone I trust. They want to manipulate me. They must really believe this. They don't really believe this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm deceived. I don't know.
You suck my whore ass dick, you whore.
So easy. The first thing I would point out,
suck my whore ass dick. Suck my dick. Suck my poor ass dick. You suck my poor ass dick. You suck my poor ass dick. You suck my poor ass dick.
Additional reasons to doubt this God and deconstruct and eventually deconvert that from fear. And as you get more and more of that solid foundation of why this God is no different than all.
Oh, let's see these spit smell gals. Let's see these spit smell girls.
It's going to affect you no differently than if a Muslim. Listen, how seriously would you
Oh, I've seen this fucking movie.
Nothing but a fucking weirdo.
she have a spitty fake arm?
You already know. You said your first instinct was to doubt yourself, to be afraid of making a mistake. How very that initial reaction that is coming.
Man, this is fucking boring as shit.
Where the fear of God was instilled is perfect sense. It does not stop.
Move, you whoremonger.
He says, anyways, I admitted to him that I was having nerves. He shared his personal testimony. It was the classic now! And being able to sense now! I was compelled by his story, but I also
oh, that's spit.
Well,
man, she smells like spit.
So, because of this, you are sharing your actual doubts and details of his personal story. Now, did his personal story contain all of these
spit?
Did it show how we can know the Bible is 100% accurate, inerrant, and true? Did it show you the differences in the claims of Yahweh versus the claims of God's
spit?
Was it then instead anecdotal evidence of
I can get a bowl and see if my form is that much longer than hers.
Hindsight, looking back and making
I curse God if my forms are not longer, unless God's going to make my forms longer, then I don't curse him.
I promise you. And two, everyone who has ever believed in God is able to do the same thing with their life. That should take some of the zip out of this for you. Your friend has their own filter, a Yahweh filter, a Christianity filter. That is how they are looking through at the memories of their life. They want to see God there. But not clearly. They never sat across God.
Oh, wow.
They believe through prayer that they've had conversations and the voices in their head
44, 49.
that happens to be lined up with Scripture and is from God. But you've had that surely as a Christian. You just start starting to doubt if that's real when your friend is still convinced that it is. I'm going to give you a bad analogy off the top of my head here. If you and your friend were both raised as white supremacists, and you started waking up thinking like, man, I don't know if this is right. Like, it doesn't all add up. You know, other people of other colors seem to be just as human as me. They seem to have just as much value as I have. They seem to be just as capable as I am. You're doubting this, and you talk to your other friend who was raised the same way, and they tell you, no, listen, look, here's how I can prove it, here's how I know. And there's no empirical evidence of these differences or why whites should be honored higher, why they're some master race. There's anecdotal experience tied into the structure of belief with which you were indoctrinated into, right? Even if it's just something as basic as, well, look at us, we're thriving, we're doing great. And there's an example over there of a person of color who is not doing great. So see, it matches up with what we've always been taught, that we are better and deserve better. I can see the great hand of white supremacy at play in my memories as I look back. Through the worst filter, with horrible evidence, not taking outside factors into consideration to arrive at this conclusion they already wanted to arrive at. That's all that personal testimony is.
Suck a whore ass
for any ideology, for any belief, for any religion, for any
cultural
conception, it is that.
Look how much longer that massive form is.
It's personal. It's on a measure of
so
life.
Let me do my form like this.
It's not truth. It's truly almost the antithesis of these things, and it can only be useful for that individual. I can maybe, and by useful I mean believable to them. Most of the time it's probably doing them a disservice. But to extend their personal testimony to mean something for you, where's your personal testimony? If this God is real and works in personal ways in people's lives to convince them of something, he should be doing it for you. And if he's not, and you have to rely on someone else's, that's not your fault. Despite the fact that these people will tell you, oh, it's your sin getting in the way. Oh, it's your own doubt getting in the way. If you would just do this or this or this or this, you would hear God like I did. The other thing that I think would be interesting to ask your friend about would be, what if you had another friend who had personal testimony of Allah? Or what if you had another friend who had personal testimony of believing that Jesus was real, and then finding out very clearly that he's not, and being able to look back at his life and see the truth of atheism in it the whole time? What would your friend say about that personal testimony? He would say it's null and void, because person one is worshiping a false and
her arm
God,
looks about
person two is
4 times higher than that fucking bowl.
So the only testimony for personal belief that we should take seriously is the one that matches up with his version of the truth and his own bias. It's a hypothetical, and I'm speaking for them, but I would assume that's what you would hear. And then I am hoping you can see how simple and ridiculous that concept becomes. Let's move on to the next thing that A said. He also believes that God burdened him with me so that I wouldn't go down a bad path. I can't help but worry that he is right and I am making a huge mistake. There is so much in me that says keep going, but it's hard to listen to.
It's kind of hard to tell
if I'm being deceived somehow. Isn't it funny? And maybe A put these words in his friend's mouth, maybe not, but that God has burdened him. It's always a negative connotation. Listen, I'm worried about you. Okay, this is hard for me too, as your friend, to see you do this, to see you mess up your life, to see you be so clearly deceived. And God's tugging on my heart. He's not leaving me alone. He wants me to help you, because if you leave God, you're going to go down this wrong path. How ridiculous. And I'm projecting here from some of my own conversations with my own friends, but how dismissive of who you are as a person, that the second you would leave the same belief system your friend has, you would become something worse. And of course they believe that. It's what their scripture tells them to believe.
Uzi spit.
Or doing good. And throwing that in your face as some kind of a fear tactic of
Uzi
who you will become is downright disingenuous. And then we're back to your dichotomous parts.
I think mine is longer than hers.
That's why I didn't kill him.
Trying to make sure that you're
she's got some real spit on her.
Already making sure that the wool hasn't been pulled over your eyes. And yet it's battling these other voices saying, this is how you become deceived. This is how you stray. By what? Seeking truth? So what should you be doing, according to your friend, to not be deceived? Deceive yourself. Go against how you're currently thinking and feeling? Not desire for answers to the hard questions of specific religions and their
man, she got some spit.
I think we could have a whole conversation. I know we could have a whole conversation on this concept of being deceived, and I'd encourage you, if you haven't, to watch this video. According to the verses that I quote in that video and all of the examples that I give that are all biblical, no one has any ability to actually be assured of their faith. Anyone at any time while still in this earthly realm can be deceived by the devil, by his demons, or by God himself. There can be people that think they're saved, that will supposedly wake up upon their death to find that they are not. Even the elect,
suck my whore ass
Bible
dick.
says, which is an insane statement. So again, if you want a further discussion about if you should worry about if you're deceived or not, watch that video. But if your friend believes you can be deceived, then by the own definition of deception, it's not your fault. And how would you know? So if you, in all of your clear, sane presence of mind, are thinking, I don't want to be deceived, I want the truth, and I'm willing to tackle the hard questions and follow the truth wherever it goes, that, to me, sounds like the opposite of deception. That sounds like someone being honest. Next, and almost done, he says, I've wanted to look into personal testimony from other religions and see how that differs from Christian testimony. I'm not in an emotional place right now to claim that all these redemption stories are not based in a true belief system, but I think I could get there if they happen in other religions and beliefs as well. This is so true, and this is such a problem. So many times, especially, I'll just speak from personal experience, in America, we are told in our Christianity, this is the only truth. And under that guise, that there is only one God and it's this God, and you happen to have got it right, luckily, by being born in the time and place that you were, when you feel those emotional and typical human, psychological, even spiritual feelings, you attribute them to the God that you know and believe in, and you believe that those feelings are special and unique. Because if those feelings can only come from a God, and you happen to have the only right God, then you and other Christians like you are the only ones that get to have those experiences, and you're dead wrong. Go speak to other people of any other religion that really believe what they believe, and they will share personal testimony, divine revelation, how their God or gods worked with them in dreams to reveal themselves or to give them a message, how prophecy was utilized, how healing happened. All of the things that you think are special and unique to the Christian experience, that feeling of the Holy Spirit that you know so surely is the Holy Spirit, they feel with their particular God. And it took me a long time to actually be able to recognize and believe that, but it's just being human. We know that humans can have these deep spiritual experiences as a natural phenomenon. And what every one of those humans does is attribute those feelings as evidence for their particular God belief. And that's why personal experience is one of the hardest things to get over as you start to deconstruct and deconvert. But you're right, as soon as you really come to the correct understanding that it is something everyone is capable of having and experiencing, and that everyone of all different walks of faith does, it eradicates this idea. So, my encouragement to you and to other people that are hung up on the same step, have real conversations with real people who believe really different things than you, and I promise you, you will see very quickly how human we all are and how natural, not supernatural, this all is. I hope, to you, that this has been helpful. And I hope to anyone else watching that you've gotten some further insight into the turmoil and the chaos and the doubts and the process of deconstruction and deconversion. Even if you're a Christian who's never going to change their mind, maybe you can understand some of the earnestness of the seeking and searching of the individual who is going through deconstruction or who has arrived at the other side already of deconversion. They're not trying to personally offend you. They are simply on their own journey looking for truth and struggling with what has always been claimed as truth in their life when some kind of evidence pops up against it. That is a very hard thing to go through. And I think that everyone, no matter where people end up or what process they're deconverting or deconstructing from or going towards, should have a little bit more empathy and grace for. So that's all I have to say on the subject. I hope that this kind of a video was fun, entertaining, educational, and helpful. Please let me know any comments you have, and until next time, keep thinking. I wanted to personally thank all of my top tiers of support. My iconic clip.
Bitch, you suck my whore ass dick, bitch. Bitch, you suck my whore ass dick, bitch. You motherfucking suck my fucking dick. You suck my whore ass dick, you fucking
element,
bitch.
Very rare, but it does exist. So I can't say that it's necessarily not Egyptian.
Okay.
But it could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be Egyptian. It could be other. It could come from other traditions as well.
Like we talked about Musaeus, but that's the jumping.
We will get to that. I assume.
I just wanted to recap. We're at Hecataeus of Abdera. We are in the 3rd century, early 3rd century, mid 3rd century BCE. We've left the 4th century, so here we are.
And Hecataeus is on the cusp between the 4th and the 3rd, right? So that's early. I mean, actual writing, we're probably talking about very early 3rd.
Got it. Now we're moving into another, or are we going to be emphasizing what Hecataeus?
Well, a little bit about Hecataeus. So he's presenting a different type of
suck
exodus.
My dick sucking.
We have a Moses that is leading the Jewish people to a desolate land, according to Hecataeus. So not, something that is that he considers Judah to be a desolate land. He doesn't give the name Judah, but basically a desolate land after their expulsion from Egypt. Okay, and he founds Jerusalem. So again, he's just to recap that. Also, he is a polis builder, founding Jerusalem and other cities. So polis in the ancient world was a major city with cities around it that it governs. So it's really a polis builder. And again, he's in the list with other polis builders. He's compared to other polis builders. He's also the one building the Jewish temple and establishing the cult in the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Now, he's also, according to Hecataeus, the one who divides the Jewish people in.
Man, he is a stupid motherfucker. Stupid fucker. I'm gonna get my goddamn soup out of this goddamn motherfucker. So my goddamn motherfucker. You goddamn motherfucker. Shit. God damn it. The feds fed up with my illegal land. That you see, that fucking pisses me off. Let's put a fucking suit. You see, that fucking pisses me off. That motherfucking pisses my goddamn black ass the fuck off. Gotta clean this fucking shit up before I can eat. That fucking pisses me. You see, that fucking pisses me off. You see, that fucking pisses me off. You suck my motherfucking whore ass goddamn dick. You goddamn son of a goddamn bitch. You suck my goddamn whore ass goddamn dick, goddamn. You goddamn son of a goddamn bitch. Suck my fucking whore ass dick. Bitch, play the goddamn game, you whore ass bitch. I lose on time, you goddamn son of a goddamn slut fuck bitch. Suck my goddamn whore ass. Bitch, suck my goddamn whore ass dick, bitch. You suck my cock.
What we do know about archaeology is there is simply nothing about Moses or an exodus of a people out of Egypt from archaeological data. It became clear that there is no, not just no mention, but the slightest hint of any knowledge of the Pentateuch in general, not just Moses and the Exodus, but the Pentateuch or the Bible, anywhere before the 4th century, the end of the 4th century BC.
What you're saying is there's nothing in Babylon, Judea, and Elephantine that signals or gives any hint, no whiff of awareness of what we see in the Pentateuch. How significant is that? Is this just an argument from silence? Or should we have expectations of something?
You know, the argument from silence, the silence is so deafening when combined the Persian period and the early Hellenistic period, which is the period we're talking about. There's about 5,000 sources. In Samaria, we have the Wadi Daya papyri, which are very important. And it is absolutely clear that he did not know of a Moses. Because if Moses was there, clearly the church fathers will have mentioned it. Okay, that's absolute certainty that this would not have been gone down in silence.
Give me the scientific external data that anchors the concept you're pointing at that proves this must have a date in the 7th century, 6th century BC, pre-exile.
Again, there is simply no evidence outside the Bible for any knowledge of the Bible before the end of the 4th century. Before that, nothing. There is no personal name Judah anywhere, for example. That is the one that you would expect. They come from Judea, right? So, you would expect something like that. Nothing. No Moses, no Aaron. As I said, no biblical hero.
Damn, that was good. Why am I still fucking hungry? God damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Myth Vision Podcast. We're dealing with Moses. Moses is not only the central figure of Judaism. Everyone loves the movie 10 Commandments. We also want to know more about who is this person? When does he really show up in history? So I have an expert joining us, and that is Dr. Gad Barnea. He knows a thing about Moses and the Hebrew Bible. Welcome back to Myth Vision, my friend.
Pleasure to be here, buddy.
This is going to be an exciting, deep video. It might actually be quite shocking for some of them who have never actually considered, in a scientific way, of what the evidence seems to suggest about Moses. When this character, if I can call him that, appears in history. And then I kind of wanted to throw it at you and allow you to take us wherever you have planned, because it's a deep dive, and everyone's going to want to stay tuned to the end to really understand how you're drawing your conclusion. So to tease people, it is your personal research that has led you to say Moses seems to be a very late character in history according to what the standard scholarly idea about when this character existed is, if I'm not mistaken.
A number of things. I'll provide two kind of layers of context, scholarly and popular. In discussions about the Exodus and about Moses, of course, these are two connected stories, right? The story of Moses and the story of the Exodus. In the discussions, we often look at, did the Exodus happen, right? That's a very famous question. Is it an actual historical event? And of course, is Moses historical? And usually we look at archaeology, which is fine. The methodology for to look at archaeology is fine methodologically, but it's an argument. Ultimately, it's an argument from silence, because what we do know about archaeology is there is simply nothing about Moses or an exodus of a people out of Egypt from archaeological data. Even though it's an argument from silence, it's a pretty strong argument from silence, because, of course, the Egyptians kept meticulous records. You would expect it, but again, technically, it could be somehow have passed under the radar an event like that, so under the archaeological radar. Of course, then there's the Bible, an analysis of the texts that deal with Moses, of the different layers of redaction and addition, which are there, of course, in the story of the Exodus, but that also is not, in terms of historical relevance, that also is very inconclusive. So we don't know, we can't say, well, because of these layers of redaction in addition to the story, that does not prove or disprove the historicity of the Exodus or Moses. So this argument has been going on now for well over a century or more, and it's in scholarly circles. It's pretty strong that there is no. I mean, the Exodus and the person of Moses, as described in the Bible, is probably not historical, but a lot of scholars say, well, but it might have a grain of truth in it. There might be something that it is based on, and it might be closer to the biblical version or more remote. So we're trying to find some anchor, some historical anchor. And so I'm trying to approach this from a different perspective, and I kind of started looking into this because of my studies on the Elephantine community. Ultimately, over time, it became clear to me and to other scholars, contemporary scholars that we kind of work with and exchange ideas, like Professor Jonathan Adler, my friend, and I think you've had him as well on your podcast. And so it became clear that there is not just no mention, but the slightest hint of any knowledge of the Pentateuch in general, not just Moses and the Exodus, but the Pentateuch or the Bible, anywhere before the 4th century, the end of the 4th century BC.
May I jump in here? Because I really feel this dialogue is needed from a layperson like me who researches this stuff, because I represent the viewer. And that's my goal in this discussion. It's important that we emphasize it. You're saying something here. What you're saying right here, I want to highlight, pause for one moment, because people go, that's an argument from silence. Or they come up with what I would say are, I'm not saying excuses, I want to call them that, but like I hear these things that just don't like green lights go off in my head and I go, oh, light bulb, oh, solve the problem. That is, a small group of priests for centuries had this material, but they were fringe, they weren't important, they were insignificant. What you're saying is there's nothing in Babylon, Judea, and Elephantine that signals or gives any hint, no whiff of awareness of what we see in the Pentateuch. How significant is that? Is this just an argument from silence? Or should we have expectations of something, Dad?
Absolutely. So, that's a great question. The argument from silence, the silence is so deafening that even in places where you would expect. So, for example, the folks at Elephantine, and not just in Elephantine, so in Babylonia, Elephantine, in Palestine at the time, we have zero evidence of any knowledge of the Pentateuch or any knowledge of the laws of the Pentateuch. And then I say,
You
I mean,
stupid
we have
motherfucker.
thousands of sources from that period.
Go home
When
and
you combine
fuck up and that fucking
the
shit.
Persian period and the early Hellenistic period, which is the period we're talking about, there's
Suck my dick,
about
bitch.
5,000 sources. Okay, roughly speaking. So we have a lot from Jewish, relevant to the Jewish, either from Jewish or about Jewish customs, and in none of them, before the fourth
You
century,
stupid fucking bitch.
final phase of the fourth
Stupid
century,
fucking
we see, and
cunt.
even later, it's not huge, but it begins about that time. In none of them do we find any knowledge, any hint to any knowledge of the Pentateuch or the Bible in general. Now we would expect that in, for example, in legal context, which we have a lot, we have hundreds of legal documents, actually thousands of legal documents across the entire region. And we would expect something like by 2 or 3 witnesses is something is established. This legal idea that is so prominent in later Judaism, even in the New Testament, right? So by 2 or 3 witnesses, we don't find anything like that in any of the contracts, even among Jews. Contracts where Jews make contracts with other Jews, and where the administrator of the contract is a Jewish person as well. So even if it's a 100% purely Jewish context, you don't find that anywhere. So that's just one example. Another example is at Elephantine, and the viewers might not know this. They had a temple. They had a fully functioning temple with sacrifices, but not exactly the sacrifices, not the full set of sacrifices that we know from the Pentateuch. And it had other things in it that are really do not correspond to what we would expect from a Jewish temple, let's say, at the time. The word Jewish, I'm just going to say that very quickly, is anachronistic at this point, but I will use it just for the sake of clarity or convenience. So they did not have that, but the temple was destroyed in 410 BCE, and then they write to Jerusalem, to the high priest and to the governor of Jerusalem, but they never, these are Jewish people in Egypt, okay, on the Nile, it's an island on the Nile facing Aswan, being persecuted by Egyptians. Okay, the temple was destroyed by the Egyptians. So they are persecuted in Egypt. This would be a perfect place to inject to something that is related to the story of the Exodus, right? Or something that is related to different experiences of Jewish people in Egypt, but nothing. They don't. They mention nothing of this sort. Again, it's an argument for silence, but you would really expect that, and it would certainly strengthen their argument, right?
So the red flags for me have been the many different gods, the archaeology, Jonathan Adler, and you're well aware of dietary, not dietary restriction. There's no restriction. They're eating whatever they can. Whatever region, and these are red flags as well that combine with what you're saying, and they scream louder than the silence to me. It's not just goddamn Christ. They're clearly not aware of any of it, which means, where is it? And I get into trouble, Gad, with my scholarly friends who are like, what? No. There is pre-Babylonian, pre-exilic material here with Moses and these characters and these laws, and Josiah's reforms really happened, and Josiah's reforms describe all the people of Israel at that moment somehow practicing the law, and that means they know about it. Well, why is it the evidence that is more solid and better easily interpreted to give us some clues doesn't show these guys, Moses and Abraham? It doesn't show these laws. It doesn't show those practices. Yet we're supposed to just trust the scholars who have this historiographical layering kind of dating, assuming earlier material, when we have none of that material from that period. We only have this material later that's supposed to guess. It's a head scratcher for me.
Right. If you dating any biblical text is almost never possible if you rely only on the Bible in order to date that text. So, for example, if you say yes, let's say Jeremiah quoted or referred to Genesis or